negligence and shall be heard by God of this United States, this state, in this honorable court. The Honorable Monty Watkins presiding. Please be seated.
Come on, everybody. All right, you ready to get started?
Judge, can I mention one thing? This is more for perhaps the court's staff than anything else. Ms. Halstead's handing the court is going through the jury instructions. On the first page, as far as the order of the lesser included, Smith, I think we've talked about this, that I think perhaps the court look at them, that the order on the one of the previous is not correct.
Okay.
So I've gone back through putting them in order, and I know that would take quite a bit of changes as well as the jury verdict form, everything, so I just thought I'd turn that in this
I have
morning.
somebody back there who can work on it.
Exactly. Well, that's why I was mentioning it this morning instead of waiting until Your Honor was getting ready to read it and say, oh, by the way.
All right.
As well as the one other thing, as far as counsel, thus far in the original, facilitation of sexual battery was not listed as a possible lesser in between attempted sexual battery and assault. And I think probably it technically is. And if the court puts that in, then I think it probably would also go in under the lessers of aggravated sexual battery, also between attempted sexual battery and assault.
Okay.
So that makes you see.
Okay. I'm handing this to see if that's... Is that the right place?
Yeah, actually, it's where I drew the line. It goes, the facilitation of sexual battery goes in next to last between attempted sexual battery and assault.
Right. Well, I thought you had said after.
After attempted sexual battery.
Okay, that's fine.
We'll just scratch the question mark and I'll put on here.
All right. Better now than during the closing argument.
Well, exactly. That's
Yeah.
Thank you.
In fact, we have a Rule 30 before we finalize.
Sure.
We may.
Yeah, we will. Okay, let's bring him in.
Yeah, we definitely want be 100%.
This is the first page, what goes on the first page.
Yeah, and in the verdict form too. And that would change the lessers. All right, please be seated. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, is everybody doing okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to call the roll and get started. Madam Clerk?
Juror number 1. Here. Juror number 2.
Here.
Juror number 3. Present. Juror number 4. Here. Juror number 5.
Here.
Juror number 6. Here. Juror number 7. Present. Juror number 9. Present. Juror number 10.
Here.
Juror number 11.
Here.
Juror number 12.
Here.
Juror number 13. Here. And juror number 14. Here.
All right, everybody's here. Mr. McKenzie, please come forward, and we're going to swear you in again.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Judge, I've either got to get a bigger podium or a smaller notebook. I'm not sure which. Morning, Mr. McKenzie.
Morning.
Now, yesterday we were talking about your interview on July 17th of 2013.
Yes, sir.
And in that interview, of course, you talked about your drinking earlier
Yes, sir.
and Mr. Beatty's drinking earlier.
Yes, sir.
And you told, in that interview, you said that everybody had been drinking, but as far as being drunk to the point he didn't know what he was doing, you said that was Vandenberg and Beatty.
Yes, sir.
Recall saying that. And you said that Brandon was freaking out about what was happening in his room.
Who was?
I'm sorry, Judge. You said Mr. Vandenberg was freaking out about what happened in his room.
Yes, sir.
I believe you said yesterday that you went up to the second floor to get your roommate, Mr. Banks.
Yes, sir.
And I want to show you what's been entered previously as Exhibit 2A, Clip 3.
Look at that screen right to your left, sir. It should come up on the
It's
chair.
coming up over here, Judge.
Okay, all right.
Now, do you recognize that area there?
Yes, sir.
That's the elevator lobby on the first floor to the left.
Yes, sir.
And that's you there pushing the elevator button,
Yes, sir.
and you're smiling.
Yes, sir.
And there's Mr. Vandenberg, and he's carrying the alleged victim.
All right.
And standing next to you is Mr. Banks,
Yes, sir.
and that's your roommate.
Yes, sir.
He's right there with you.
Yes, sir.
And there's Mr. Beatty
Yes, sir.
in the polka dotted shirt.
Correct.
And Mr. Vandenberg has carried the alleged victim into the elevator,
Yes, sir.
and you and Mr. Beatty are still outside the elevator.
Yes, sir.
And then you push, the elevator door closes, and you push the elevator, you push the button to reopen the elevator.
Yes, sir.
The elevator door closed, they were going to go up
Yes, sir.
without you.
Yes, sir.
And then when you begin to step into the elevator, this is when Mr. Vandenberg pushes Mr. Beatty out.
Yes, sir.
And then that's when you and Mr. Beatty stand there and you're laughing and you're joking and you're cutting up.
Yes, sir.
Now I want to show you what's been previously introduced as Exhibit 2A, clip number 6. And we first saw it, and I'm going to start this over. This is at 2:36. Can you read the timestamp there?
Yes, sir.
And there's Mr. Vandenberg and Mr. Banks. They're carrying the alleged victim. And there's Mr. Beatty. And there's you.
Correct.
And the alleged victim is not in Mr. Vandenberg's room at this point.
No, sir.
Mr. Banks is not in the Mr. Vandenberg's room at this point.
No, sir.
And you're right there with him.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Mr. Vandenberg picks up the alleged victim, and you follow him right down the hallway.
Yes, sir.
You're right there with him.
Yes, sir.
Now, after you were interviewed, excuse me, in July of 2013, you were indicted in probably around September of 2013.
Could have been. I'm not sure.
You don't recall. At any rate, you were indicted before, obviously before your interview in July of 2014.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Wait a minute. You said he was indicted before his interview in July?
July of 2014.
Okay.
Yes. And after you were indicted, of course, you had legal representation,
Yes, sir.
and the state provided your attorneys and you with what's called discovery.
Yes, sir.
And in that discovery, you found out that your fingerprints were on the condom box
Yes, sir.
that was found in Mr. Vandenberg's room.
Yes, sir.
And you had told him in your July 2013 interview that you didn't see any condoms.
Yes, sir.
But now all of a sudden, you've got your fingerprints on the condom box.
Yes, sir.
And you know you've lied in your interview in July
I did.
2013.
I did.
And you know that's not good
Yes, sir.
because you know that you're charged with aggravated rape.
I wasn't charged then.
You were charged in July of 2014. You had been charged at that time, had you not?
Yes, sir, but I thought you just asked me about 2013.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to confuse you. But 2014, when you gave this third interview, you knew at that time that your fingerprints had been found on that condom box.
Yes, sir.
And you knew you had told them in July of 2013 that you didn't see any condoms.
Yes, sir.
And we're talking about after you got indicted now, you knew that you were indicted for aggravated rape.
Yes, sir.
Very serious charge.
Yes, sir.
The only thing more serious could be first-degree murder.
Okay. Yes, sir.
It carries very serious penalties.
Yes, sir.
And you knew that you were in big trouble.
Yes, sir.
And you knew you were in big trouble because you knew you had lied to the police.
Yes, sir.
And even in that interview, you told them that Ms. Lackey had already been taken up to the room when you went up there.
Yes, sir.
And despite having told them before that you hadn't seen any condoms, you told them in this interview in July 14 that it was Mr. Vandenberg that handed out the condoms.
Yes, sir.
So Mr. Vandenberg's fingerprints were not on that box.
I'm not sure.
Were you ever told that they were?
Please wait a minute, he's not fingerprint action.
Right. Sustained.
And you told him in this interview that this Brandon Vandenberg slapped the alleged victim on the behind.
Yes, sir.
That's the first time you'd ever told him that.
Yes, sir.
You didn't tell him that in July of 2013.
I did not.
And as you were talking with him, you were giving this interview because you knew you were in trouble again. You knew you were in trouble.
Yes, sir.
And you wanted to get some consideration for what you had done.
Yes, sir.
You wanted to get away from the problems you had created for yourself with your first interview.
Yes, sir.
And you said in this interview, if I left anything out, can you help me? And you were talking to the people that were questioning you.
I was talking to my lawyers.
But you were talking in the presence of Mr. Mayo and Ms. Morante.
Yes, sir.
You said, if I left anything out, can you help me?
He's confused the statements he gave, Your Honor, please. Ms. Morante, I don't believe was in that statement.
I'm sorry, you're correct.
It's kind of confusing.
Mr. Thurman was there.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Norman was there.
Yes, sir.
And your lawyers were there.
Yes, sir.
And after you had talked for a while, you asked them, you said, if I left anything out, can you help me?
Yes, sir. I was actually talking to my lawyers. We had been over, the discovery and the story so many times, and it was just so much to remember. And I was just asking them to help me. If anything I missed or any more questions, just ask them.
Yeah. But you said, can we go back over the storyline again?
Yes, sir.
You wanted to get your story straight.
What happened in the room? Yes, sir.
And again, you told him in your July 2013 interview that Mr. Vandenberg had nothing to do with the sexual assault.
Yes, sir.
But that's not the only time you said that.
It's not.
I'm sorry.
It's not.
In fact, on June 28, 2013, in response to a text message you got, you got a text that said, to fully understand, they basically saying they took advantage of her, raped her because she was drunk and the white boy didn't do anything. You remember getting that text?
Yes, sir.
And your answer was correct.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's not the entire text. I think that's a violation of the rules. Your Honor's already ruled on several times. I have to be clear.
Okay. Which text was it? From whom?
Well, Your Honor, I don't know from whom it was in one of the reports from Mr. Gish, and he testified about this in an earlier proceeding.
He didn't testify about who sent that text.
But he did not. So I will strike it. All right.
Your Honor, please, again, he did testify about it in an earlier proceeding under oath, that he received that text and that he responded in that manner.
No, it's strict from that.
It is.
Your Honor, may we have any chambers?
All right.
I'm fine right now. It's in here, right? Yeah. Okay.
I'll just put you some just in case.
Okay.
Your Honor, please, we would withdraw.
Hold on just 1 second. Court reporter.
We would withdraw our objection as long as the entire text message is written.
All right.
So, Mr. McKenzie, you remember receiving that text message that we were talking about just before we took the break?
Yes, sir.
Text message says, so to fully understand, they basically saying they took advantage of her, raped her because she was drunk and the white boy didn't do anything. And you know what they did but won't tell.
Yes, sir.
And you answered correct.
I was talking about I know what they did but won't tell. Yes, sir.
What they did.
Yes, sir.
Now, we saw a number of images yesterday. Y'all may have just one moment.
All right.
images yesterday from Mr. Beatty's phone,
Yes, sir.
and there were no images on your phone.
Yes, sir.
But Mr. Beatty had given you his phone
Yes, sir.
and asked you to take pictures of what he was doing to the alleged victim.
Yes, sir.
And in those pictures you took with Mr. Beatty's phone, what was being done by Mr. Beatty to the alleged victim, Mr. Vandenberg wasn't in any of those pictures.
I don't think so. No, sir.
Would you like to look through them to make sure?
I don't think he was.
Okay. Let me have just one moment, Judge.
All right.
Please, that's all.
All right, read it right.
Thank you. Mr. McKenzie, let's talk a little briefly about the first police interview that you gave.
Okay.
Too clear yesterday. There's something about, you made a statement about the victim mumbling in the room,
Yes, sir.
and you testified earlier that you didn't hear anything, but you used the word "they told me."
Yes, sir.
Who are you talking about they told you?
I'm Brandon Banks.
Was that the story you were supposed to tell?
No, that's what he told me actually happened.
But you didn't hear anything.
No, sir, I did not.
And was this when you all were trying to get your story straight?
Yes, sir.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about the statement you gave on July 17th, 2013. I think you testified yesterday. What were you trying to give the police at that time in that statement?
Well, only what I thought y'all knew, not the whole truth, half tell things.
Okay, and I think you mentioned at that time, had someone told you what was on the video?
I didn't know everything that was on video, but I knew what some stuff that was on the video.
And who told you that?
A teammate, Chris Boyd.
So Chris Boyd told you he'd seen the video?
Yes, sir.
And so you were kind of going by that as what you're going to tell the police? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
And did you tell the police at that time that Corey Beatty sexually assaulted the victim vaginally with his penis or put the penis in his mouth?
I don't think so.
Okay. So you didn't tell everything on Mr. Beatty?
No, sir.
Now, you talked about earlier that you may have exaggerated as far as intoxication. When you said that Mr. Vandenberg didn't know what he was doing and Mr. Beatty didn't know what they were doing, was that an exaggeration or was that your true opinion?
Well, I was actually talking about, from their actions, their behavior, what they was doing, not saying like they didn't know how to speak to me and not know how to walk and things that matter.
You're talking about their actions?
Yes, sir.
Now, this slapping, you did tell the police in that one statement where you're only trying to talk about what was on the video, is that correct?
Right.
But did you later tell in your later statement to the district attorney's office about that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And have you testified about that on 3 occasions?
Yes, sir.
And did you just happen to make up a single slap so you could get better consideration, you think?
No, sir.
As far as talking about the plan for Mr. Vandenberg to go to the victim the next day, who are the people that were mainly talking about that?
Vandenberg and Corey.
Were you present for all their conversations?
Yes, sir.
How do you know that?
I remember the conversation. I remember him saying to make sure, nothing happened to him.
I understand you remember that conversation, but you don't know whether they had other conversations when you
Oh,
were
no,
present.
sir, I don't know.
There's some talk about your statement earlier about a storyline. Who you were talking to?
My lawyers.
Okay. And can you tell us, did any of your lawyers or any prosecutors or police ever tell you to say something that wasn't true?
No, sir.
And this text they were talking about, who sent that text to you?
I think it was my uncle.
And were you responding to the last part or the first part or all of the text when you said correct?
The last part.
That's where you weren't going to cooperate?
Yes, sir. That's when we was all supposed to be sticking to the plan.
Was this uncle one of your family members that was putting pressure on you not to snitch?
But he wasn't. He actually wanted me to tell the truth, but I had other family members telling me not to.
So it wasn't an uncle okay. And when you talked about Mr. Vandenberg being aggressive and amped up and bossy, what exactly did you mean? What were you saying? What caused you to believe that?
Well, from the things he was saying, he was like kind of in control. Like when he pushed us back off the elevator, when he grabbed us and asked us for help, when he passed out the condom, he made sure everyone passed out the condom. And he covered the cameras up, so like he was in control.
Okay. That's all the questions I have.
All right, recross.
Mr. McKenzie, you said that no one had told you not to tell the truth.
Right.
Well, I'm sure that before your first interview, your lawyers told you to tell the truth. On your July 7, 2013 interview, they told you to tell the truth, didn't they?
They did.
And you didn't tell the truth, did you?
No, sir, I wasn't charged then, so I didn't know how serious this was.
So you lied depending on the circumstance.
I was still trying to protect my teammates and friends.
You were trying to protect your
Sir, I wasn't going to tell anything new.
Now, That's all the questions I had, Judge. Thank you.
All right. Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. You're excused. Is that your cup? All right, next witness.
Matt Prelude.
Okay. Yes, you may. It'll be in the way otherwise. Face the cliff and raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Make sure you get close to that mic.
State your name for court, please.
Mac Prelow,
And where are you from, Mr. Prelude?
Fort Worth, Texas.
Where you currently reside when you're not in Fort Worth, Texas?
Here in Nashville on Vanderbilt's campus.
You a student at Vanderbilt?
Yes, sir, I am.
And what year are you in?
I'll be a senior next year.
What's your major?
Economics.
And where were you living on June 23rd of 2013?
I was also on Vanderbilt's campus in the Gillette dorms.
Okay. How old were you at that time?
I was 18 years old.
How long have you been on campus?
Somewhere around 2 to 3 weeks.
Were you on the football team at that time?
Yes, I was.
I think you were preferred walk-on, is that the term?
That's right, I was not on scholarship.
And who was your roommate?
Brandon Vandenberg.
And did you know Mr. Vandenberg prior to getting to Vanderbilt?
No, sir.
And was he the same age as you or older?
He was older. I think 2 years older, maybe.
Did you hang out with him a lot?
I saw him in the room when we were roommates outside of football and stuff. I wasn't around him much.
Okay. Do you remember Saturday night, June 22nd of 2013, in the early hours of June 23rd, 2013?
Yes, sir.
What had you been doing that night?
That night, I stayed in the Gillette dorms. I was up on the 6th floor in one of my friend's room. I was up there. I had 2 beers until came back sometime after midnight to go to bed.
Okay. You weren't legal to drink, though?
No, sir, I was not.
Okay. Do you recall approximately what time you went to bed?
Not exactly, no.
Did something actually wake you up?
Yes. I was sound asleep, and then sometime in the early morning hours, I was awakened by 4 of the other football players in the room. I was on a top bunk, and the lights were on, and I saw Vandenberg and 3 others who at the time I did not know. At that time, as I said, I was on the top bunk. I looked down. I saw a female on the floor in our bedroom. And after that, I wasn't sure what they were doing or what happened.
Okay. You said you saw 3 other football players. Do you know their identity now?
Yes, I do. It's Brandon Banks, Tip McKenzie, and Corey Beatty.
What position was the young woman in when you saw her?
She was lying on the floor face down.
Okay. Now, when they came in and you were awakened from the sleep, did you hear any comments, sexual comments or anything of that nature at that time?
Yes, throughout the night I heard them use the F word in regards to having sex with her. I heard Mr. Vandenberg say he couldn't get an erection due to cocaine use at some point. That's about it, yes.
So you heard a lot of sexual statements all through the night, so
right.
That period of time?
Right, through that period of time. I don't know when exactly, but sometime in that period of time, yes, sir.
You couldn't ID who made those statements other than one statement you testified about, Mr. Vandenberg?
That's correct.
Did you also hear another noise other than people talking during this 30 minutes?
Yes, at some point I heard pornography playing down to the left of me on a laptop.
So could you saying down to the left of you on a laptop, where would that have been exactly?
Right, it was under me to the left. It would have been on Brandon's bed or on a desk down there.
Your Honor, please at this time, I'd just like to play the clip for voice identification. I think it's Exhibit 41.
Okay, it's going to be on the big screen or small screen?
We're just going to play the sound. We're not going to play the video.
Sorry.
It's 41D, Your Honor, please. Were you able to hear that, Mr.
Yes, I could hear it.
Could you identify whose voice that was, please?
Yes, that was Brandon Vandenberg's.
And did you know the young lady in the room?
No, sir.
Did you at any time during this period they were in the room hear her make a sound or do anything?
No, I did not.
And you know approximately how long it was before this incident was over and the four left the room?
No, I don't. It was under an hour, though.
And then as soon as the incident was over, did you leave the room?
Yes, I did. When I sounded like nobody else was in the room and it quieted up, I know I out of bed and left once nobody was in the room.
Okay. Did you see some people in the halls you left?
Yes, there were people in the hallway.
Do you recall who that might have been?
I didn't. I kind of beelined it. I remember seeing Chris Boyd. He said something to me. I don't remember exactly what he said. That's the only encounter I remember having in the hallway.
And where was the young woman when you left?
She was in Brandon's bed.
Okay. Was that the only time that you left the bunk during the entire incident?
Yes, sir.
Where did you go after you left?
I went back up to the 6th floor. I asked my friend if I could sleep in his room.
And did you report this incident to any authorities?
No, sir.
Why not?
At the time, I didn't really know exactly what happened. It just didn't cross my mind.
Were there any condoms kept in your room?
There were.
And whose were they?
They were Brandon's.
Where did he keep them?
In one of his drawers.
What time did you return to the room?
I think it was around noon the next day.
Was there anyone there?
No, there was not.
Okay. And what did you do to the room at that particular time?
I cleaned up. There was vomit on the floor that I cleaned up on the floor and on one of my coolers in the corner.
Okay. You recall how much vomit there was?
I don't. It wasn't. I don't recall it being super wet or a ton of it, but I noticed it was on my cooler and on the floor a little bit.
Did anyone tell you to clean the room up?
No, sir.
Did you receive a text from Mr. Vandenberg the next day?
Yes, I did.
What did he request you to do then?
He asked if he could have the room to be with the girl.
Okay. Did you comply with his request to leave the room?
Yes, I did.
Did you ever see Mr. Banks, Mr. Beatty, or Mr. McKenzie after this?
Yes, I did. I saw them in the following days. It was outside Gillette after I spoke with Detective Mayo. I just ran into them, and they approached me and asked if I could help them out, and I just kind of said okay and walked off. Kind of disregarded.
Do you recall who said that to you?
It was Brandon Banks.
Wasn't threatening in any way, just...
No. He just said it real quick, and I kind of disregarded it and walked off.
Now, let's talk about a somewhat maybe embarrassing incident. If your semen was found on a green towel in that room, would that have had anything to do with this incident?
Absolutely not, no.
would you have been with someone or alone when that was deposited?
No, sir. I would have been alone.
Okay. Do you remember, was that before or after the institute?
It could have been before or after, but it would not have been from that night.
After your room was searched, I think the police seized your phone. What did your father do?
He hired a lawyer.
Okay. And as a result of hiring a lawyer, did you sign a document for discussing the case with the district attorney?
Yes, I signed a use immunity agreement.
What does that mean exactly?
It means I could tell the truth and it wouldn't be used against me.
Okay. So nothing you said under that agreement could be used if you were to be prosecuted, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. You know that's not in effect when you do testify.
That's correct, I know that.
I think you've testified previously in other hearings in this matter, have you not?
Yes, sir, I have.
Okay. Anything else? That's all questions I have.
All right, cross-examination.
Morning, Mr. Prelude.
Morning.
When you got onto campus prior to this incident, you'd only been there about 3 weeks, right?
Yes, sir, somewhere around that time.
And Mr. Vandenberg at the same time, because you guys were roommates, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And you didn't know each other prior to that, correct?
That's correct.
And you didn't party together or anything like that, correct?
No, we did not.
That'd be correct, you did not party?
That is correct, we did not party.
And your friend, who you left the room on the 23rd, lived on the 6th floor, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he lived very close to McKenzie and Banks and Beatty, is that correct?
That's possible. I don't know where they lived.
Well, in the video, you were staring right at Mr. McKenzie.
Question, being argumentative. You said
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
I beelined it.
Don't,
I'm not being argumentative.
Don't argue, just ask questions, okay?
I'm sorry they don't like my tone.
It wasn't your tone, it was the manner in which you said it.
Okay. So, if I showed you a video, which I will, not right this second, of you and Mr. Beatty staring at each other in the 6th floor right after this event, would that refresh your memory?
I haven't seen the video yet, but that is possible. I passed him if it's in the video. Yes, sir.
Okay. And you've given a few interviews in this case, correct?
Yes, I have.
You were supposed to give 3. You gave 1. On the second one, you hired a lawyer and you didn't go to the interview. Is that correct?
I've given multiple interviews. I don't remember which ones are which, but...
Do you recall not going in to an interview because you had a lawyer?
My lawyer has gone with me. I do not remember not going to an interview specifically.
And then you gave a 3rd interview when Mr. Thurman asked you after you signed that immunity agreement, correct?
Yes, sir.
The use immunity agreement just stating.
Right, and there is a difference, so.
You were present with that use immunity agreement, correct, that Mr. Thurman just said?
Yes, I signed it.
Right. And the comment was, if we could start with our immunity agreement. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And there was no use in that, correct?
I'm not sure if that's what it said.
Do you want me to show you that? If I show you that?
You can read it. That's fine.
Okay. I'll read it to you. Attorney, if we could start with our immunity agreement, Morante. Yeah, and also I want to interrupt. We are recording this. Male voice, yes. Morante, I just wanted you to know he's got a digital recorder there, It's the same one I sent you, except I put the names and date on it. Attorney, okay, Morante, I can make a copy of it too. Attorney, sure, Morante. So you have it before you. Leave when you're finished. Detective unknown. Mac, if you sign there, Bill, we got a place for you too. And I assume Bill's your attorney?
Yes.
Okay. Attorney, okay. Mr. Thurman, can you
Please
explain
read
this
what you
immunity
hear
to
saying to the
him?
record, which is totally improper.
He asked me to read it to him.
Well, wait a minute. He is now objecting. It is hearsay, so I have to sustain.
Well, Your Honor, then we have, because Mr. Thurman says, can you explain this immunity to him?
Well-
And Mr. Thurman got up and stood before the court and said, use
Perez,
immunity.
Mr. Perez. He objected to it on hearsay grounds. I sustain, all right?
Okay. You indicated that you got back to your room about 12, correct?
Yes.
Do you remember testifying at another hearing that you got back sometime after 1:30?
I do not. I've done everything I can to tell the truth. I don't remember exactly what time it was.
Okay. It could be 1:30, you just don't remember?
That's possible.
On your first interview, do you recall a Detective Mayo?
Yes, I do.
And that was on June 27th in your dorm room, is that correct?
That's correct.
And they wanted to search your room, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And they told, you were informed,
What police are getting into hearsay again?
it goes the state of mind on this question, Your Honor, what he does.
Well, ask the question, don't answer. Let me rule on it, all right?
When you were told that they only wanted to inspect the floor, no drawers or any clothing, did you sign the immunity agreement? I mean, the consent form to search your room?
Go ahead.
Yes, I signed so they could search.
And again, it was your understanding that they were only going to do the floor, correct?
I don't remember exactly. He just asked if they could search. I don't remember specifically what they were searching, but I asked him a few questions about it, and he said they were searching my room and that they would obtain a warrant regardless, so I said okay.
Okay. Now, after that, they asked you some questions. Fair? Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And they asked you a question if you heard a girl being penetrated, and you said, no, I didn't hear that. Correct?
If that was what I said, yes.
You want me to read it to you?
That's fine. That
I
is...
think he testified that he heard somebody being penetrated. It's not a prior inconsistent statement. It's just three statements. He didn't testify he heard someone being penetrated.
That objection, Your Honor, I just don't understand. I'm just asking him if he testified, if he made a statement that he heard no one getting penetrated.
And he agreed with you.
Okay. You were also asked if anyone said, and excuse me for stating this, is that correct?
To my understanding, I told him specifically I don't remember exactly what I heard, but I heard sexual things going on. I heard some things I don't remember exact specifics.
I understand that, sir. Please answer my question.
Yes, that is correct.
You said nothing like that, correct?
If that's what I said, yes, sir, correct.
They asked you numerous times, probably 10 times, about if you knew Mr. Vandenberg's voice. Do you recall that?
Same thing. If I don't recall our conversation exactly, but yes, if that's what he asked.
Well, Mr. Thurman asked you and played you a video if that was Mr. Vandenberg's voice, and you said yes.
Yes, that is right. I thought you were talking about Detective Mayo.
Detective Mayo also asked you that. I said about 10 times. Do you remember that? Asking you if you knew Mr. Vandenberg's voice?
Same thing. I don't remember him asking, but if he asked, I would say I recognize it.
Well, the first time he asked you, did you ever hear Brandon's voice? And you say, who? He says, Brandon. You said, Brandon Vandenberg, your roommate. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And he asked you, did you ever hear Mr. Vandenberg make comments or anything in that room? And you said, nothing really. Do you recall that?
I don't recall specifically, but if that's what I said, that is what I said. Yes, sir.
You and Mr. Vandenberg never talked about that incident. Is that true?
No, that is not.
When you were asked, did you and Brandon ever talk about the girl? We never talked about that. Was that not true?
We had talked about it sometime in the following nights while we were going to bed.
Do you recall the detective asking you about condoms?
I do not remember.
And he asked you, did you see any condoms? And you said, I did not see any condoms. Do you recall that?
Same with everything else. I don't remember it specifically, but if it's on there, that's what I said.
And it's on here, so that's what you said?
Please don't object to testifying. I don't know what, we haven't seen a copy of this transcript you're supposed to read from.
Okay.
I can play the whole transcript, Your Honor.
Well,
It's May 27th. It's
Only
recorded.
thing is, the state has the right to see what you're asking him about.
Your Honor, they were given this
I
during a
understand
previous
that, Mr.
hearing.
Perez. They still have a right to see what you're questioning him about. That's all.
I will give them everything I am going to question him so he can see that. And I'm referring to, I'm not going to give it to him, but I'm referring to the May 27th interview with Detective Mayo.
What? You said May 27th.
I mean, June 27th. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
All right.
Please, we've never seen this transcript, I don't think. No way to communicate for us. Wasn't prepared by the police or anyone.
What transcript is that?
It's a recorded interview of June 27th with Detective Mayo and Mr. Prevost.
Okay.
It was the recorded interview was provided by the state to us. We have a transcript of that. I can play the whole interview if we would like to.
Well, that's not necessary.
Okay.
But and what is this state objecting to? Are you objecting
Well,
to?
He's questioning from a transcript. We don't know that transcript's accurate. We've never been able to see it or review it to determine its accuracy, where we can follow along and point out, obviously.
Right. You do have a right to have a copy of the transcript to verify whether or not it is accurate.
Then what I would ask, Your Honor, is that we take a break. I'll print a copy, give it to them. They can review it. And there's...
Okay, that's fine. Let's let this be our morning break, okay? We'll take 15 minutes.
All right.